I'll be right back. I got 30 seconds.
You got 46, 45.
I just texted Antonio to ask him. Oh shit! All right, on. What's happening, guys? So, hello, gentlemen. Yes, you guys are in the mud box now with Mario. Nice to meet you. So, but yeah.
If you don't know, now you know.
Yes, we got William Allen White and Terry Hall. Right off the bat, I do want to start out with William introducing yourself.
Absolutely. You betcha. So my name is William White. I am the field marketing specialist for Ardex Tile and Stone. Basically, I go around and support our sales professionals in the field, as well as develop and launch new products.
Okay. And Terry Hall, you're up.
All right. So yeah, Terry Hall. I am a technical field rep for Ardex, and I cover about 14 states on the West Coast. And originally, an old school tile guy, old school mud guy. So happy to be here.
Excellent. From the Sacramento or Stockton area?
Well, I'm originally from Fresno.
Right.
Yeah, that's where I started doing pool tile down there, but my family did tile in Fresno and all and up and down California for years. So they're they were into tile for a long time. My uncle moved to Sacramento, and then eventually I moved up here to work with him, and that's how I got in it.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Yeah, I remember when I met Terry. Ooh, he was like probably, I don't know, it was a little bit. It's like right around that time, but it was before Facebook. I had a problem with some waterproofing, and I needed to hit up a rep, and because Tom Duffy, and I want to say it was 8+9. You know what I mean? And they're like, you got to talk to this guy before you mess around with him. You know what I mean? That's why I met Terry.
Yeah.
And so when you guys, are having problems, you just look at Terry and go, you're the one who took the phone call from him. He's your problem.
Help me out, brother. Help me out. What's going on?
You never know how a relationship will start, man. Simple phone call sometimes.
Yeah, that's really honestly all it was, you know what I mean? Because Lance was running a flooring operation here, and he wasn't selling tile products really, so I really didn't even know Lance at all, you know what I mean? So I was at Tom Duffy and I was doing this, and Terry was like, hey, I know Tom Duffy gives you problems about bringing it in and stocking this stuff, why don't you come over here and come talk to this dude Lance, So I went over there and I talked to Lance.
Got options.
Yeah, rest is history. You know what I mean? So
yep.
That's and that carries me right into a lot of guys know Ardex's history with mud, and I mean the mud event. So tell us, Terry, it's one of your favorite stories. Tell us, man. There's a lot of guys don't know. A lot of guys don't know.
It is. A lot of guys don't know. So I'll make it really quick. So initially working with Jason McDaniels and GTP, we came to a decision to bring tile installers together to teach them how to do self-leveling. So we created the Levolution in Stockton in the Ardex plant. So that's kind of where it started, and you were there. And then the mud group started, and we said, well, we had all this, foam and mud and what's better and who's this and that and other. So I said, let's just do it. So we did a foam versus mud, GTP versus mud is what it was. And that was kind of the beginning of the thing. And at that event, that's where you said, you know what? I want to do this. I want to have something for mud. And the rest, as they say, is history. You know, we talked to Lance, or you talked to Lance, and you got to go in there because that was your vendor at the time, and you just kind of ran with it and took it over from there.
Right.
It's kind of crazy because all three of us were actually at that mud zero, if you will, that Levolution where mud spurred off and started. And Mario, my memory of you at that event was you grabbed a tile. Terry's doing the AM100 demo. You grabbed a tile and you're like, you can set tile with it. And I'm like, no, you can't, Mario. And you're like, yeah, I can. Watch. And you slam the tile on the wall. And I'm like, okay, well, it works, but that's not really.
And then I turned around and came back to Fresno, and I had like 32 bags of AM100 that I had picked up from there. And I set 600 feet of travertine on stucco walls with the fucking AM100.
Is that the one where you chiseled the edges when you were done?
Yeah, exactly. And you heard that thing. That was bombed right there, brother.
Yeah, you were slamming it with a hammer after you installed those corners, and you were chipping them in place to chisel the edges. And dude, those pieces were solid.
Right. And that was AM100.
Yeah. But we don't do that.
100%. You know, it wasn't that much different than some of the older guys were doing here. You know what I mean? Back a long time ago. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the guys here, you know, like travertine wasn't a thin set operation. Exterior stone was not a thin set operation. You know, thin brick.
It was a pure, yeah.
Fuck yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
you
I
were
look at these guys that are doing. Yeah, I was looking at these guys nowadays, you know, doing all this thin brick with thin set. I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind. I wouldn't get thin set anywhere near a brick. You know, but you know, like times change, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, the methods change and all of that, you know, and you know, what on that AM100 topic, you know, that you know, it's good for us here because it's something that we can identify real easy. Like a lot of guys, you know, they talk about AM100 and like when we're sitting there back here, like, what's AM100? What's AM100? Oh, you know what? AM100 is like when you throw a thin set in your mud. Okay. Yep. Now it makes
it
sense.
Sticky.
Yeah. No, it makes sticky, icky. It's like, yeah, you fat mud, add some thin set, AM100. You know what I mean? I know there's a lot more that goes to it, but
fair. But for breaking it down basic, I mean, you're kind of right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
there's enough polymer in there that, you know, it's not designed for sticking tile, but I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of polymer in there, and you need that to stick, and that's why it bonds so well.
It's sticky.
Yeah.
Right. It's very, very sticky, and you know, when it's 110 degrees outside, it's very fast.
It's going to go quick.
Very, very fast. You know, so yeah, I mean, but you know, that's a hold on one second. I gotta do my coworker's favor here. I gotta shut the door. I'm talking too loud. Yeah, so you know that's one mud you guys make. You know, you had the other one, the A38, the fast deck mud, but you know now it's A14. I don't know nothing about that.
Yeah.
So what's the skinny on this A14?
You know, so basically you're kind of going through some of the different muds or thick beds that we have available, right? And A14 goes along with our new drainage, the Ardex exterior installation systems, and it's a drainage mortar. So imagine, if you will, a Rice Krispie treat made out of cement, and that's what A14 looks like. So it's not a tight matrix like a traditional deck mud. It's a super open matrix, and what that does is it allows water to pass through it and thus be a drainage mortar. It's crazy weird stuff. Terry, what's your explanation of A14?
So I'll give a couple examples. So if you think about it in a shower pan where you do deck mud and moisture gets into to that whole assembly, then that moisture sits in that deck mud. So think about that. Now let's take it outdoors and think about when you're doing a deck mud or you're doing a wet set application where you're putting down the deck and you're tapping in your tiles at the time. Well, you're still sticking to a very tight poured deck mud where when water gets in it, it sits in that system and it can wick and it can travel. And then when it's baked out, it'll effloresce and then you have those issues. With A14, if you use that powder with the small aggregate that we recommend, what you now get is a system where when water gets into it, if you have the proper drainage, it just flows away. And it doesn't allow it to wick up from the surface. So you're keeping that efflorescence off your tile.
Yeah, so we call that a capillary passive system, meaning water goes one direction and that's down, it falls through it. Where a typical dry pack, look, we've all torn out a dry pack and they stink, right? They're just wretched when you take them out. Why? Because they wick water back up into them. They're capillary active. Water can climb up in them, and that's why they smell so bad after, a period of use. So I saw a question pop up there. Are you able, there we go. Would it be good to use for Carrara marble in a shower pan application? So the A14 is designed specifically for our exterior installation systems, and why I would say it wouldn't necessarily be applicable in a shower is because a lot of times in a shower pan, we're talking smaller mosaic tile, and the A14, due to its kind of more open matrix, it's designed for larger tiles. I believe the smallest tile that we recommend on it is 8x8.
Yeah, so you got ahead of that one for me because that was going to be my question. It's like, where's the binding? You know what I mean? We pound the mud tight for, that exact reason. So it's like saying, if it's an open capillary system, what is the binding agent to get it to hold together?
Yeah, so when we're using A14 as a mud, what we do is we screed it out. So we can do like a float and cover where you screed it out and fresh set it the same day, or you can screed it out and come back the next day. Either way, but in either one of those situations, you'll screed out the A14. Then you actually take the back of the tile, you comb the back of the tile, and then you set the tile, whether it's in a wet set application or whether you've allowed it to cure, and then you're going to tap that down. So you're actually using X90 on the back of the tile to set with. So that's your bond.
Yeah. Right. So like you said, think about the Rice Krispies, kind of how it looks. And the whole idea is to have, you have just enough moisture in the mix with the A14 and the gravel to hold it together. And it's a very, very strong bond. You don't want to create a slurry because we don't want any capillaries, or we don't want to have any of those pores blocked. So it's like I said, it's a dry pack kind of an idea, but it doesn't look like a dry pack. It's totally
yeah, it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Usable though, like a dry pack.
Oh, easy. Yeah, super screedable.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, because so wet setting is an like a authorized. It's like you can just comb the back of the tile, get right in it, pound it in.
Mm-hmm. And I would say for most of the applications that I've seen with A14, wet set is preferred. Just because it gives you that ability, you screed out your deck as you work along, and then your wet setting, it gives you more adjustability. If you need to go down a little further, it just gives you more workability with the product.
Right. And that's something that
I like that.
We call it raking in.
Oh, okay.
Raking in. You know what I mean? You get like, some guys get a 2x4, but you get a board, right? And you set a bunch of screws in it from the bottom, make a rake. And that's what gauges the thickness
of your height. Yeah.
Right. So you gauge it in, you back butter the tiles, put them on the deck bud, and
tap them down
to the height. Right.
Yeah.
We call it raking in.
And that gives you a lot of adjustability when you use it like your method, what you're saying, or the fresh set with or wet set with A14. It just gives you a little more adjustability.
Right. On you and me, we all know here. You get push on this tile, you already know what the next one's gonna do. And so when so a lot of times, like I said, with marble and stuff like that, you're not wet setting because lifting marble, you're just asking to break them. You know, you
To
get a
break a
cut mark
piece.
on the floor, you're not going to be lifting every tile up.
Yeah, you hit a dry vein, and all of a sudden you're pulling up pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They go down, they're down. You know what I mean? So you rake them babies in, pound them to where they need to be. That's it. You know, it's done.
Yeah.
You know, that's cool, man. So A14, is that product available or will it be available?
100%. It is available. And I believe, like all of these products, AM100, A38, even the A14, we're going to be showing these products at Mud because they're all of those are Ardex's Mud products. So let's
Right.
feature them at Mud.
Right. So, and you know, that was something, you know, I mean, I knew about the A100, A38. Now there's the A14. You know, I would say that's more designed for, I guess, a more traditional application. You know what I mean? Being the way, you know, the method of installation.
Yeah.
So is that like, where is Ardex C? Like, do you guys have like a future in thick setting materials? You know, like you're adopting a new one. Is that something that?
There are several formulations that I've been privy to, just being that that kind of fits in my role. There are a couple other things that we're looking at that are going to be super cool. Not quite in the same vein as A14, but additional products to help with mud setting.
That's bad. That's cool.
So we got some secrets, but you know, I can't share them quite yet.
Right. So does that mean we get A14 class now, Terry?
Yeah, it's part of Academy now.
Yeah, it's part of Academy, but we had one in Stockton a few months ago. William came down. We dedicated a half a day of one of our classes to explaining our exterior drainage systems because we have, outside of a standard pedestal system, which we have 3 other systems that you would do for an exterior. And they're very detailed, intricate. They're not difficult, but there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of things to learn. And like I said, William does a fantastic job doing it. And so we try to do that. You know, it's not like an everyday thing because we're really specific to exteriors and certain you know,
applications,
terraces and things like that. So we do have those trainings and we will have more, but yeah, just keep an eye out for them.
Right on. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you know, and tell people how to find them.
Yeah, so I mean, it's easy enough to get on our website, ardexamericas.com. And what you want to look for is, you know, you can pick one wherever you want to go. If you want to go to Mansfield, you want to go to, you know, Stockton, you want to go to Aliquippa. I mean, you can look at any of the little map, click on those. It'll open up and tell you when they're scheduled. I think I've got mine scheduled out through the rest of the year now. The next one I have somewhere in September or something like that. So, yeah, just get on our website and take a look under, click down and look for Academy.
Okay.
And in addition to our standard academies, which are held at Ardex facilities, like Terry and I just got back from going to Denver. So occasionally Terry and I partner up and we'll bring a Ardex Academy to a region where maybe they don't have an Ardex plant to go visit. And so Terry and I and the local sales pros, we spent a day setting it up. We did a classroom, we did a bunch of walls. And I mean, it takes a lot of setup for us to do, but we also had a full class and the engagement level was super awesome. So, you know, on occasion, we can also do remote Ardex academies if we have, you know, large enough buy-in.
Okay. So is that something that, like, you know, I've seen Terry running around in the van, you know, and so is that
can't miss that van.
No. So I mean, is that something that you guys are going to be moving toward? Is like a remote Ardex academies?
Let me take that one. So since we have lost a couple of the places we used to do trainings at, we used to be up in Portland. We used to do one in Southern California. You know, things change, places move, and so we are trying to become more remote. You know, initially, I can tell you that back originally, if you wanted to learn anything Ardex, you had to go all the way to Pennsylvania. That was it. That was where all the training was. Okay.
Yep.
And it wasn't till just prior to me getting hired, you know, a little over 8 years ago, probably 10, 12 years ago, when they started doing trainings outside of Aliquippa. You could do it in Texas. You could do it in Georgia. You can do it in California. we are now understanding that, not everybody can travel, from, 2 or 3 states away. Right. And so what we are trying to do now is we've actually put it out there to all of our reps that you find the interest in the area and we will be there.
That's cool. That's really
so
cool.
if people are interested, get to know your local Ardex guy and tell them and work with your local people, because that's how it happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at that point,
the one in Denver, I mean, it's a terrific location. We have plenty of room, and that's one thing we need lots of room, and you need your power and water and things like that, just like if you're doing a CTI type of thing. But it was at the tile shop there, and they did a fantastic job. And as long as we have the room to put it on, and they're a supporter of the Ardex product, like I said, we are William and I cover the same states, so together. Yeah. We'll cover any of those 14 states. Anybody wants to do a program, if we can put it together, we will.
So you guys are the Western 14 states.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Okay. Right. That's cool. And, and to kind of like expand on that, Ardex Academy isn't just a class. There are multiple academies.
Yeah, you're right, Mario. There are, Terry.
Yeah. So, William, with his new position, he is always been focused on the tile products, but now what he's doing is he's getting more into the training and specifically into gauge porcelain. He's getting into our exterior drainage. He's getting into our shower systems. I mean, it's a lot for anyone to do. And that's why we need a specific person to handle, a lot of those. I do my own gauge porcelain trainings in Stockton, and I have done them on the road as well. But when you look at trainings altogether, William is specifically on the tile and the tile products. I do the trainings for everything we do, self-leveling. I do it for moisture control. I do it for, whatever we have, including tile.
Adhesives, decorative toppings. I mean, Terry has got every single Ardex and Henry product is in Terry's brain, all of them.
The thing about the tile ones are self-leveling. All I got to do is get product in a bay, make sure I got some water and the tools, and we can teach people how to do self-leveling. When it comes to tile, there's so many products and there's just so many things to learn and know, and that it takes, like he just said, it took 4 of us, a whole day of setup on the road. And so that's why we partner up on the tile programs, because it's just a lot to take in. And, we try to make it a 2-day because it's just so much information. And if we threw it at you all at one day, you are not going to remember, half of it. So, yeah, it's just the way it is.
Yeah. I've been, like you said, we went to Levolution, and then I went to the panel, and then I think I went to the waterproofing. I don't know what other ones I went to at that point. But at that time there was really only like 4 classes, 4 different courses, right?
When you started going, we had 1-day tile classes. That was it. Yeah. We have since that time, we have added probably a good half a dozen products, but then we've added other systems, the exterior drainage systems, the TLT systems. We've added, this and that and other, and it's just grew to the point to where, if we try to do it in 1 day, it's just too much. And we understand that, taking 2 days out of your schedule, it's costing you downtime, it's costing you money out there. But, I always say, I was an installer. I understand that, but you don't know what you don't know. And if you're not getting educated, then you're not learning anything. And everything is free. You just got to get there. We pay for hotels, we pay for the lunches, we pay for the dinners, we pay for everything. You just have to get there. And the only difference between doing one at an Ardex Academy, we can set you up with a hotel because we have that. We've already got that put down. We've got counts with the hotels. Doing it on the road, we don't have those. And I'm going to tell you, we have tried, and it is so difficult to set up an account and try to get payment, and that we don't do hotels on the road. And that's the only difference, but everything is free to come to one of our academies.
And I don't really imagine that that's really that much of a problem, because the whole point of getting on the road is going to the market where you want to educate, right?
Yeah, true. If you think about it, when people come to me, it costs us money for the hotels, right? We pay for everybody's hotels, all their food, and that's part of the doing business. When we go on the road, We're not paying for the hotels, but they're paying for me to fly, William to fly, our food, our drinks, our cars,
all the setup,
all the setup, all the
setup.
material. I mean, all the other things we have to buy, building lumber, drywall, we build things. So, there's quite of an expense. And I know that other manufacturers out there that do these, road trainings, I mean, they understand, it's a lot of expense when you go on the road. So, once again, the only thing we don't do on the road is hotels. And typically when we go to a location, I would have to say 90% of the people are all local anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, you're going right to the guys, where they want to go. So, William, like on, you guys are working together, but William, I think he's on vacation for a minute. You and William are not in the same department.
No, right? What they say is he's kind of a hybrid position. He is not really sales and he's not really technical. He's more in the marketing, but the knowledge that he has and the background that he has gives him the ability to do trainings as if he was on the technical department. Okay. So, I mean, that's kind of where it is, and he can, now that he's back, he can explain it more, but that's where he's at.
Yeah, William, I do want to go into more of that. You know what I mean? Because, mud guys are kind of like fanatics. You know what I mean? And Terry's a mud guy. Where did you set tile at? What was your kind of background on that before Ardex or before manufacturers? I don't know that Ardex was your first manufacturer.
For me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I got a phone call right in the middle of that and I lost a little bit. So back on. So my background is installation. I actually started on the soft goods sides of things. So, carpet, vinyl, hardwood is where I got my start. At that point, we were Coven, sheet vinyl, and so I went through and got all my Armstrong certifications and things like that. And back then, we were a larger crew, and we would do schools in the summer. We do 2-3 schools a summer, which that's a massive amount of work. I mean, you're throwing down just miles of base cove and Collins and Aikman carpet, and man, we would just tons of work in a very short period of time. And then we started doing the tile, and I was like, man, I kind of like this tile thing. And so when I started my own business and went out on my own, I was like, I'm doing tile. Like, that's going to be my thing. So I started my business over in Eastern Washington, specifically just tile, and was, primarily custom high-end residential, like super high-end residential stuff. And then when I moved to Portland, I went to work for a slab shop because I also have a slab background. And then, that kind of led me to knowing who the really good builders were and good designers because they were using slab. And so then when I branched out and started my own business in Portland, then I knew who the contacts were. And so went back into tile. And then, I took a fall rock climbing. I'm a very outdoor, active guy. Took a fall rock climbing and had to have surgery and all that stuff. And the doc told me, you're not a tile setter anymore. That just stopped today. And I was like, oh crap, what do I do? And actually I went to work for Laticrete for a while. I had a good run at Laticrete and then, downturn in the economy. So tried to go back to tile setting a little bit, but everyone had their people. Then actually went to work for an adhesive manufacturer as a distribution manager for the West Coast. And then this position with Ardex came up almost 11 years ago, this position. And I was the second tile and stone sales professional hired for Ardex and been going at it ever since. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm also a CTI, CTI 878. I'm also part of the JATC, or Columbia Tile Trades Joint Apprentice Training Committee. I do that like with Hawthorne Tile and some of the local tile setters. I've been an instructor there. Now I sit on the committee for 15 years. I'm also an NTCA state ambassador for all the states that I service. I'm a state ambassador. So just super involved in the industry, always learning, and always sharing all of that knowledge that I have. That's kind of what I want to do, is just share all that knowledge that I have or any experience, just to make it easier for the next guy. It's kind of my mission.
Right. Now all we got to do is make you a mud guy.
Hey.
I've taught him a couple of little tricks, so I've kind of showed him. I mean,
remember that bucket of mud? Yeah. Remember that, Terry? Remember that bucket of mud I was handed in Seattle, and it was, I mean, you could have poured it out. Yeah. It was so bad, and I was trying to get it up on the wall, and Terry's like, "Let it sit for a second." I was like, "All right, cool." And then he's like,
"Let it sit for a second.
Pinch the top, and
push it in, pinch it off at the top,
pinch that top off."
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I've got a good teacher sitting right there, man. He's learning.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, I literally learned how to float before I could even set tile. The very first things I did was I learned how to float the water line on pools. And so you do all that freehand. There's no setting strips, so you're screeding it off with a torpedo level.
Right.
So it's all freehand and rubbing it down. And so I had done tons of that floating around, skimmers and water lines and spas and spillways. And I had done all of that before I even went to work with my uncle doing houses. The first time he had me rough in a countertop, I used red rosin paper. So he said, put paper on there and then put wire. And the only thing I knew was, okay, there's paper right there. I didn't know Aquabar. I didn't know anything.
Right. Right. Yeah, that was my. I mean, it's so true. Like, I don't know if you guys caught last week. I talked to Ryan from Washington. Ryan
Gillette. Ryan Gillette.
There you go.
Yes. Oh, dude, he's a badass, man. I love that guy.
Yeah. So I mean, you both know. I mean, you've both spent, Terry especially. You guys have spent enough time around mud. It is not for the faint of heart.
I had a helper. I'm standing in a tub. This guy's been a helper for a while. He was a super cool dude. He was a young guy, floating the tub. Day after day after day, we do the same thing. And one day he's standing there and he's looking at me. He goes, "I want to try." I stepped out of the tub and handed him a Hawken trowel. Said, "Go for it." He spent about 10, 15 minutes in there trying to put mud on the wall, and then he turned around and handed it to me. And he goes, "You make it look so easy." It's practice, man. But
it's practice, man. Yeah, it's practice.
What it is.
And so like for him, to like come from sanity, you know what I mean, and then jump in the mud group where like it's like rabid wolves that are starving and just waiting for a guy to fucking get at, you know what I mean? And to actually learn something there, And
his work is getting clean.
Yeah, my very first exposure to him was like, "Hey guys, look, I floated the shower." And I was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" You know what I mean? And then you look him up, and he's from Washington, and I was like,
"Yeah,
oh, yeah, shit, right?" I asked him to be on mud, right? In the mud box with me. He goes, "No, man, that's not for me, man." He goes, "I'm not a mud guy." He says, "I'm looking on Facebook." He says, "You don't want me, man. I'm fake it till you make it." And you know what I mean? And my instant response was to that, "And you think I'm not?" You know what I mean? Because like Terry said, you can, you don't. It's not like golfing. You know what I mean? Like what you see on TV. You're not a hot girl. No guy's gonna come plant his balls against your ass and grab around you and teach you how to float a shower and shit. You know what I mean? Listening to the slow, cool jazz. It ain't happening. You know what I mean? Well, someday the Hawken trowel is gonna hit your hand, and you gotta put it on the wall. You know what I mean? You gotta put it on the wall. So on some level, all mud guys, at some point in time, were fake it till you make it. You know what I mean?
There's no training tools. It's just practice.
Yeah. I told him that, and he was like, "All right, I'll be on."
Look, every single person has a point A. Everybody had a starting point. Everyone was a beginner. Me, you, Terry, everyone listening to this, we all were a beginner at one point in time. And, we grow from there. And I would say Ryan Gillette has taught himself from being a member of Mud, but he didn't have a mentor to show him how to hold or how to move. Like, he learned it just by watching you guys here on Mud, and damn, his work is looking pretty clean. He's good.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It blows me away. You know, I mean, it really does blow me away. I mean, Terry knows, he's known me for quite a while now. You know what I mean? It was not what it is today, by any means. You know what I mean? The first Fresno Mud, the real first Mud. You know what I mean? We don't talk about that one very much. You know what I mean? That one kind of, that one's safe with the 30-ish guys that were there. You know what I mean?
It was a big glorified demo for the most part, but
right. But you know what I mean? But there were a lot of fun going on.
Everything has to start from somewhere, right? So,
right,
what this is all about is teaching these people how to float. That's where we're at. We're trying to teach these guys the art of mud. Even in California, the industry is kind of changing. Your track homes are all going to, films. They're going to other things because they're trying to make it cheaper and cheaper and cheaper.
Right.
But when you get to these more custom houses and you get to these bigger projects and you get to some commercial work, the skill's still there. It's not going away. And if you don't have the skilled tradesmen out there that know how to do this, then it just hurts the whole industry together, altogether. So that's why I like being part of this so much is, I haven't had the opportunity in the mud events so much as to teach people, but as it's grown, we've got more and more people that can do that. And I do my fair share of teaching. I get to stand back and just watch. So that's all good to me.
Right.
Right. Terry, if I can expand on that for a second, you talk about mud is predominantly kind of a California thing.
It is.
But you're saying that even, production builders are wanting to go to, thinner, cheaper backer board systems, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing, actually, as I travel around, I'm seeing that specifically, like with gauged porcelain tile on walls, you're never going to get the coverage that the handbook wants you to get on a framed wall with backer board or sheetrock or foam or whatever on it, because every time you hit the wall's moving. Now, if you've got a mud wall, if you've got mud there, I don't care, single coat, double coat, I don't care. If it's got mud, it's got mass, it's also flatter, and you can actually hit that gauged porcelain in big old panels, and you're going to get better coverage. And so I think there's an opportunity for more people to learn mud because it's actually a better substrate in gauged porcelain applications because you're going to get the proper coverage.
Right. Yeah. Right. No, you're right. You know what I mean? It's that way across the board, but we both know, 12 by 24, certain tiles, you don't need extreme lethal, perfect walls. You know what I mean? Even mud guys out in the production world, we're not fucking, floating fucking, like pieces of artwork out there, when you're
every day.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You do what you got to do to get the tile on the wall. Right. Yeah. But like you say, with panels, it's the time, it's the place, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that Ardex has been supportive of mud from the very beginning, and I'm always curious from a vendor that is not or manufacturers, because manufacturers aren't mud system specific. You know what I mean? And so now that we're on that topic, what is Ardex is interest in mud? Like, what does Mardex get from participating in the Mud event?
Who wants to take that? So I think it's a good question. Obviously, if you compare us to some of the other manufacturers, we don't have a line of 4-to-1s. We don't have, this and that, and all these different types of things. Maybe, even a specific dick mud or a fat mud or something like that, because Ardex is an engineered cement company. there's plenty of options when it comes to getting a cheap bag of mud. Just do your standard installations. And what Ardex looks at they look at the industry like this. We're for professionals, and we make professional tools. We make professional products, and a lot of these professionals, they need stuff that can do the things that the other things can't do. And that's where we kind of seat ourselves, is we make the things that can do things that the others can't do. So we're an answer to a problem. And as far as, mud goes, even though, we have 2 or 3 products that we talk about that we can use for mud, we look at it as, an engagement and networking, and, talking about the different thin sets, like the new ones that just came out, and, things like that. That's an opportunity for us to, share those, new products coming too. So, but we're really here just to support the tile industry. And, I'll let William add to that.
Yeah. I think it's kind of cool. Terry touched upon it. We have rapid curing products and so forth that are a solution to a problem. Yeah. But it does also allow us a platform to introduce some new products in a truly hands-on type application. Because that's what I like about mud, is that it's not like, a super shiny trade show setting. It's a nitty-gritty, get dirty, jump in, get your hands dirty kind of event. And coming from, all 3 of us installation background, like, that's my setting. That's what I like. And that's what I like to see about mud, is that it's just so hands-on that anyone can get in there. Last year, watching Pete, and he's 89 years old, and he's throwing mud up on the wall and rodding it up. And I'm like, damn, and it's just, anyone can jump in there. But yeah, you get, somebody like Christopher Dushin, who hasn't ever really done mud, and he's over there just with a hawk and trowel, and Pete came over and had him just repeatedly picking the mud up, and so that's what I see, and what does Ardex get out of it is just, being part of that, more hands-on type application or situation. Like, it's pretty cool.
Right.
And also what I want to say is, if you think about it, Mario, this, almost since day one, we've always tied it together with an Ardex Academy, because it's always been about education. So, when I was more involved with this at the beginning, and we worked together, we did an Ardex Academy, we did a mud event, we did an Ardex Academy, we did a mud event. And at the beginning, that was kind of tied together. That was an education. And then, let's move on to, let's have some fun, and let's do some other stuff. Right. And as this thing has grown now, now we look at it from, okay, instead of just, an Ardex Academy, now this is a industry academy, I would say.
Right. Yeah. Because you are right, Terry. it has evolved a long way from where we started. And there's been changes for all of us. But that has been the recurring theme that was, without question, Ardex is going to be at the mud event, and that's why I asked a question like that. And William kind of touched on that. It's not anything like surfaces or coverings. It couldn't be farther from it. Like,
No.
I tell guys like things like, if you want to go see all the things and do all the things and have the Vegas experience and see all the big machines and all the new stuff, yeah, coverings, absolutely, surfaces, absolutely. You know what I mean? You want to go have a beer with an Ardex rep? Go to mud.
And get dirty?
Go to mud.
Yeah. Come to mud.
And learn who William White is. Give him the opportunity to learn who you are. You know what I mean? Learn who Terry is.
Yeah.
And it creates that more intimate,
Personal
relationship.
bond.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. It's fun. It's gotten fun for me over the years, because on the everybody assumes manufacturers don't like each other. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to talk to William on the phone, but I don't want to say, really any other manufacturer's name while I'm on the phone. You know what I mean? Because everybody kind of thinks that. But then you go to mud, and you see all these manufacturers reps kind of like on a big circle, laughing, drinking beer, doing what they
Yeah.
do, and
Yeah.
you start to realize that these aren't just corporations, that there's actually real flesh and blood that make these corporations move,
And I
and
can say, Mario, I can honestly, happily say I have a friend at every other manufacturer that's out
right,
there. I don't care
absolutely,
whether it's Mape Customs,
absolutely,
Latacrete, I don't care who it is, Schluter. I was just sitting with Sean Parker from Schluter this morning at the CTI. Sean and I
right.
are really good personal friends. And that you're right. I mean, if you looked at it from the outside, someone may say, "Oh, I can't say the other manufacturer when I'm talking to him on the phone." But then you're right. Like you see us in that environment, you're like, "Oh shit, these guys are all friends." Like for real.
Yeah, because because it's hard in Vegas. You know what I mean? You got all day long. You guys are doing your thing at your booth.
Yeah.
So I really
Yeah.
don't even get the opportunity to talk to you guys there because I feel like I talk to you guys all the time. You know what I mean? I'm free to talk to you guys whenever I want. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You guys are on the clock. You're doing this thing. There's people that spent good money to get to that location to see you guys. So I don't like to get in the way of that. You know what I mean? But then in the afternoon, you got the Ardex party. Latticrete's got the Latticrete party. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you guys never really get a chance to, you know,
Connect.
hang out with each other. And then at the mud event, we kind of like jam you all into one little teeny tiny spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you
You're
really
gonna
don't have
be
a choice.
right next to that guy.
Yeah, yeah, because I was actually seeing like a Bud Forward tribute. I was like when I was seeing you guys hanging out, like a lot of you actually worked with each other in
Yeah.
lives past.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
It's
That
funny
was
because
cool because I
like we were right next to Mape, and so Matt Sparkman, regional manager for Mape, was right there, and so I immediately walk over and I'm like, Matt, how you doing, brother? Because he's who hired me at Latacrete. Like, yeah, I mean, there's
you know what I'm
relationships that
saying?
go back
Right,
decades. You know?
right, right, right. That's really cool. It's like um it's almost like it's like more. I feel like it's almost more like a brotherhood, like the Moose Lodge or the Elks Lodge. You know what I mean? Rather than, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? We all do our own shit all day
Rather
long,
than
this and that.
competitors. Yeah.
Right? Exactly. We're all at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing, man. You're pounding the ground,
It's
trying
true.
to put dollars in your pocket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Trying to get your
there's
job done and get paid at the end of the day.
that's it.
Yeah. It's
That's
true.
it, man. That's it. Yeah. So and so at the mud event, you know what I mean? Like Terry was saying, in the past, it's been academies, it's been this, it's been that, you know what I mean? Being that it has grown to what it is now, what is Ardex hoping to highlight at this event and muds into the future, we got the new 814. You guys tend to have new
Yep.
shit like all the time. You know what I mean? So like, what besides
So
A14? Like, what
so
what
I
what
even
what are
seen
people now?
I even seen
I
one
know
of the
there's some
questions pop
questions in
up,
here. I saw that. Yeah, I know. I'm looking at it.
here in our video about X65 Lite. And Terry knows X65 Lite is like my new favorite mud. Um, and that stuff's just crazy cool. Now, what is it? It's an ultra lightweight mortar, ultra lightweight, 30-pound bag that goes 103 square feet. This stuff is crazy. It is a 11815, so you can set your gauge porcelain with it. You can do almost anything with it. But yet, the question I get a lot of times is like, "Oh, so it's a replacement for X77?" Nope, nope. X77 is still there. It's still the world's greatest mortar. It's fiber reinforced. It's got our microtech in it. X77 is that do anything, like when in doubt, pull X77 out. X65 is just like, it gives us that lightweight and it gives us some really cool features and benefits out of, without having to quite spend the money on 77. That's the way I see it.
Right.
Terry, anything to add there?
No, that's it. I got to say, because, I said this before when we were always asked, when are you guys going to come out with a lightweight mortar? And I went, all our bags are 40 pounds. We're the original lightweight mortar. What are you talking about? You know, we've been 40 pounds since day one. Everyone else has been 50. Oh, there's this 30 and there's so now here we are. We've crossed that threshold. We've got a 30 pounder out there. It's super product. And like William said, we actually see a future in the lightweight mortars when you come to Gage Porcelain, because, when you're adding mortar to the back of the tile, you're adding weight to that tile. So if you can use a lightweight mortar to the back of that tile, now you've reduced some of that weight and it's easier for the guys to install. And so, that's kind of where we're kind of focusing it. But, it's going to fall somewhere between X5, X77, in that user category. So there we are.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So
dude, I love it.
Yeah, you guys are bringing it to mud.
Yep. It'll be a mud.
I think so.
It's a cool one. It'll be a lot of people's first chance to get their hands on it, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd really like the two products we've talked about. I really like people to see that A14 if we can put something together, so these guys can see this, how that graining photo works. But,
I hope so. Now that we've said it, Terry, now we got to.
But the X65 obviously. So we're working on it. We'll have some stuff there for people. Just gotta wait and see.
Yeah, that'll be cool. We're looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing you. So, coming to the mud event will be, I'm assuming you, Terry, and William.
Yeah.
And who else from your guys' team is going to be coming out with you?
Are you asking who else is coming with William and I?
Yeah. Like, you guys are coming, there. Aaron, had his accident. We don't need to speak on it, that's personal, but,
Right.
I'm assuming that he'll be sitting behind this time.
Yeah.
So
he would be
so
there.
We're bringing two other guys. Yeah, we're bringing two other guys with us. So Garrett Venjanovich, he's actually based out of Denver, Colorado. And Twin Falls, Idaho actually falls in Garrett's territory. So Garrett's going to be joining us. I think actually he and Terry are driving in from Salt Lake together. And then actually from this territory, Ryan Willoughby. And so Ryan Willoughby's
I'm familiar with him.
Ryan is actually the sales professional for the Pacific Northwest, but he grew up in Marin County. He is a mud guy. He grew up slinging mud, and it's not until he moved up here about 6, 7, 8 years ago that and he went to work for Hawthorne Tile that he still uses his mud practices, but then he got exposed to more systems and things like that. So Ryan's also going to be joining us, which is cool because he is a true mud mechanic, grew up on it, slinging mud every day, and he's a badass. Ryan is a total badass.
Yeah. So that's
and then
exciting.
I'm going to be there, obviously, for the CTI. We need to get more people signed up for
I'm
that.
Take off for half a second. I got to grab a cord and plug my phone in. Guess I should have charged it sooner.
I think
anybody who might be listening, CTI is going on. I don't know how many we got now. We had 4 last I looked, but I think Bill Parker and I, for sure, we're going to be there for the CTI before mud. So that's one of the reasons I'm going. But I'm going to have more free time this time to kind of get in there and maybe get in the mud a little bit more while Ryan and Garrett can handle the table or the booth or whatever you want to call it. And then William and I will be doing we'll be doing all the hands-on demonstration type stuff.
Right. And we need to, and that's something that we get here. Terry, you're right. We need to talk about that. You know what I mean? Mud event. It's historically been a CTI location hotspot. You know what I mean? Some we have Terry, me, Matt Taylor, Brian Stevens, Joe Lima, Brian Garrison. The list goes on. Adam Kofer. Joshua Nordstrom. Some really well-known guys. Come to mud events and CTI, and it is an excellent location to CTI. You're surrounded by peers. You're surrounded by CTIs. You're surrounded by support. Like I couldn't, me personally, I couldn't think of a better place to CTI. And so if you haven't signed up, for the CTI and mud event. If you're on the fence about it, worried about it interfering with your ability at the event, don't. You're gonna
Yeah,
have Terry.
or if you
Go
even
ahead.
have questions about CTI, you can reach out to both Terry and myself. We are both CTIs. Like if you're
Absolutely.
just curious, like how does that fit in my life? What's it like? Man, feel free to reach out to any of us. Like we'll talk you through it.
Yeah.
Carlo Craner. You know what I mean? He was a massive anti-CTI. You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay.
And he CTI'd. You know what I mean? He went through it. He passed. You know what I mean? So for you guys that are on the fence, don't want to do it, Carlo Craner is going to be there. You talk to him.
Yeah.
You talk to that guy. You know what I mean? He didn't need to see. When guys go, I don't need it. I don't this. I don't that. This and that. But talk to Carlo. You know what I mean? Talk to Carlo.
And I want to say this before we run out of time here. I want to personally thank Mike Foster again. He's a super cool dude.
Oh yeah.
When I was there last year for Gage Porcelain training, and we were still in COVID and things like that, and he was like, hey, do you think you could bring mud here? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't think we're gonna do it this year, man, with everything going on. And got to talking to you, Mario, and we kind of thought about it. We're like, Idaho Falls, where is Idaho Falls? Who's going to go to Idaho Falls, right? And it's just amazing if you've got the right host and you've got the support and spirit behind it, what you can accomplish. And you look and see what we did last year, and then I never would have thought it would have been there again. I mean, I'd just be honest with you. I just never thought we would go back to Idaho Falls as well as the venue was last year, just, because, and here we are again, going back to the same spot, and it's going to be bigger and better. And it's just fantastic. And a lot of that has to do with Mike. So I just wanted to throw it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like he deserves another mud.
Yeah.
Mike was new into social media. A new store, trying to transition from being on his knees to being a store.
Yep.
He just recently, like, you didn't know him for very long. You were just starting to, do this. And for him to say, yeah, I'll let, 200 to 300 bug guys come wreck my shit for 3 days. You know what I mean? And he doesn't even really know it.
Everything was a trash can that week. Like, okay, this
right.
is
I said, I know Terry's calling you and telling you it's going to be great. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that he's just all corporate interest in this, but that's Terry is an optimist. You know what I mean? Like
I didn't tell him any of the bad stuff.
It might get a little messy. I'm just going to warn you.
Right. Are you 100% sure you want to have a mud event at your place? And he was like, bring it. You know what I mean? And we did.
Yeah,
and that just shows how awesome Mike Foster is. Like, that dude is a badass. And talk about a true mud man. He hasn't touched mud in years, yet at coverings, he took his ACT and was throwing mud like a boss. And that thing was beautiful. And it just goes to show, if you learn correctly, that muscle memory's always there. You can always use it. And, like Mike did, he can pull that out of his tool bag when he needed it, and he can step up and throw it up,
And like you said, he really turned it on, man. New store, new location, new job, mud event, CTI, ACT, mud event again. I mean, I can't even really think about an individual who's been more active in the last
all in.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, man, I had a good time, guys. Like, I really enjoy you guys' hanging out with me. We had a chance to really hang out for the first time for a good significant amount of time, Will, and I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? Terry.
Absolutely, brother.
You know what I mean?
You bet.
So I look forward to seeing you guys in August. And
crack a beer together, my friend.
That's it, my brother. So, all right, man. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right.
Peace.
See ya.